The 2026 World Cup spans 3 countries, 4 time zones, and drastically different climates. It is a logistical nightmare for teams and an analytical minefield for anyone trying to predict the knockout stages. When a tournament features squads packed with overwhelming talent, the instinct is to pick the consensus favorites all the way to the final. If you do that, your bracket will look exactly like everyone else's. The global hype machine pushes casual fans toward familiar names and past glory. That noise buries the actual data regarding current team form and structural flaws. This chart maps bracket strategy on a strict risk versus reward spectrum, balancing win probability against pick value. In the top right quadrant, you have high probability and low risk. This is where powerhouse nations like France and Argentina sit. They win often, but picking them yields zero strategic advantage because everyone else is picking them too. The real tournament-altering value lives in the top left quadrant, high risk, high reward. Hitting on teams like Norway, Senegal, or Ecuador mathematically leapfrogs the competition. You are investing your money in betting pools and your pride against your peers. Sticking entirely to the safe picks guarantees you top-half mediocrity, not the payout. We aren't here to blindly guess match scores. We are building a framework to calculate strategic anomalies. Bracket success requires identifying structural vulnerabilities in the heavy favorites and calculating exactly when to leverage the chaos of a 48-team tournament. In betting terms, picking the obvious favorite is called playing the chalk. It's a strategy built on the premise that deep, proven rosters will simply outlast the physical attrition of a month-long tournament. The French national team represents the ultimate chalk pick. Their squad depth spans multiple generations, allowing them to replace injured starters with elite backups without dropping their level of play. Argentina follows the exact same path. They offer a highly probable, mathematically safe route deep into the knockout stages, based purely on roster cohesion. Spain rounds out this top tier of safe, depth-based investments. The massive trade-off here is that selecting these teams yields zero differentiation in office pools and terrible odds at a sportsbook. You are paying a premium for that perceived safety. The opposite of safe depth is the aging legacy trap. This happens when bettors overvalue famous national teams that are masking severe age-related structural flaws. Building a system around a 41-year-old anchor makes a team's tactical build-up slow and incredibly predictable. That reliance leaves them highly vulnerable. Young, high-energy squads can absorb the pressure and easily exploit the lack of pace on the counterattack. We see the same brittle tournament foundation in Croatia, a team that continues to rely on a 40-year-old engine in the midfield to dictate the pace of play. These heavily hyped legacy teams offer the illusion of safety based on past success. In reality, they lack the physical output required to be reliable mid-tournament investments. Beyond aging rosters, the 2026 format introduces a massive geographic variable. Teams will have to travel from coastal sea-level stadiums to extreme elevations in a matter of days. This creates the environmental multiplier, specific situations where extreme geography mathematically neutralizes on-paper talent. The Estadio Azteca in Mexico City sits at over 7,200 feet above sea level, presenting a suffocating high altitude and an overwhelmingly hostile atmosphere. That environment takes a severe physiological toll on European favorites, who are entirely unaccustomed to playing 90 minutes in thin air. This friction creates a high leverage opportunity for teams already acclimated to these conditions, like Ecuador or Mexico. This decision tree illustrates a hypothetical round of 16 matchup, England traveling to Mexico City to face Ecuador. If you follow the standard chalk branch and pick England to advance, you receive almost no value for being correct. But if you take the upset branch, an Ecuador victory immediately shatters the consensus bracket and vaults you ahead of the pack with a massive value multiplier. Betting against vastly superior talent is highly profitable when your prediction relies on severe situational friction rather than just a hunch. You can also bypass famous squads entirely to invest in highly organized under-the-radar teams. Backing teams like Norway or Morocco presents massive return on investment potential, specifically in the middle rounds of the knockout stage, where casual bettors start dropping points. Senegal serves as the prime blueprint here. They are functionally organized, physically dominant, and completely devoid of the hype tax attached to European squads. The severe downside to this strategy is the extreme risk of your entire bracket collapsing early if your dark horse draws a clinical opponent in the round of 32. Taking that risk is mathematically required if you want to separate your bracket from the thousands of identical submissions in your pool. Deploying a dark horse is the necessary, calculated gamble you have to make, provided you are willing to accept the early exit risk. Ultimately, your choices should be guided by expected value, the mathematical calculation of whether a specific bet will be profitable over time. This bracket blueprint matrix aligns your goal with optimal strategy. Pool competitors anchor their Final Four with chalk, but insert a quarterfinal dark horse for leverage. Value bettors fade legacy teams and bet on environmental upsets to maximize value. The value bettor must accept a high overall failure rate in exchange for the massive payouts on the specific upsets that do actually hit. And if you're just a casual fan tracking the tournament for fun, you can safely ignore the extremes and stick to baseline expectations. The reality of the 2026 tournament is that while squad depth usually wins the trophy, the margins of victory are dictated entirely by the chaos along the way. Ultimate bracket success requires separating emotional fandom from your wallet. Pick your framework, accept the calculated trade-offs, and let data dictate the path.